What does the research tell us about inclusive education and whole school practices? Well, we know that they are research-based and they're effective and they support all students. And the second one that I've written here I really like, because it's been indicated that inclusive practice actually means professional positives for teachers, and that is in terms of their teaching practice, but also their personal growth, their professional growth, feeling empathy and having a positive attitude, and of course self-efficacy in teaching practice. So some wonderful positives come out of whole school approaches for inclusive education. So then what is the go-to for inclusive educational whole school approaches? Well, multi-tiered systems of support is becoming very, very quickly known here in Australia, but certainly overseas as a really effective way to deliver inclusive education. So we will jump into what that is all about. So a little look perhaps into history and where multi-tiered systems of support has come from. Many of you will know that MTSS has that good old tiered system that we're so familiar with, the 3 tiers, which you may be familiar with from the response to intervention model, RTI, or from positive behaviour intervention and support, PBIS. Perhaps these are even frameworks that you already have in place in your school or setting. But essentially, MTSS is the combination of these 2 approaches. So those of you that are familiar with these approaches will know that response to intervention is about that tiered academic response, and obviously PBIS is about that behavioural support, and both of them have some foundational tenets that are very, very similar, and that is that they have a tiered way of responding, and most importantly they have that focus on tier 1 or the universal tier as reaching, you know, approximately 85% of the student cohort. But those of us that work in schools will know that so often the students that require the academic support or intervention can often also overlap with those that potentially are needing behavioural support as well, or social emotional support. So often there is an overlap of these 2 approaches. And I think it was essentially that has been the call to MTSS to be developed. The founders of RTI and PBIS have essentially combined and said, well, really, we can make this one universal model or one whole school model that can incorporate both of these elements, and hence MTSS has come about. So you would be familiar then with this tiered approach, where we have tier 1 being designed to reach all students, and everyone has access to tier 1, but then some students will also require tier 2. And then there are fewer students again that may require the most intensive tier of support, which is that 3rd tier. So this is the foundation that both RTI and PBIS were based upon, and also forms one of the key foundations of MTSS. But MTSS is essentially the combination of both the academic, the behavioural, and the social emotional.